Welcome to another treasure hunt. These are all about biblical archaeological discoveries all around the Holy Land, from the present to the past. And today we have something that just was released recently, a very interesting find in the Philistine stronghold city called Gath. And it is game board and pieces are found. And so this was a plurality of game boards and pieces have been found. And we'll be showing you a couple pictures of them. Our treasure hunts generally are not long, but are very specific on what's been found. And then let you, if you want to dig deeper, that's great. Also, you could keep up with it if you have interest in that. A site dating back to approximately the Abraham era has turned up game boards and game pieces from the city mainly known for being the home of Goliath, and that's the city of Gath. Here is Gath today, and if you look, you can see some of the diggings that's going on spots on top of the hill. Usually where you find a hill, you find a city underneath, a biblical one. And in this case, that is true. What has sparked interest is that it appears to be like our present-day game of Monopoly, the game pieces and the game board they've found. Shira Albaz from the Department of Land of Israel Studies and Archaeology at Bar Ilan University, and Haskell Greenfield, director of the Near Eastern and Biblical Archaeology Lab at the University of Manitoba, found evidence for gaming in the form of game boards and game pieces in this Canaanite city that predates the Israelites. So this really does go back. Here is a Bible land map that shows the 12 tribes and the lands that they had, and that would be under Joshua. And then you can see neighboring nations to the far right, Edom, Moab, Ammon. However, there was the land that was given to them that was given mainly to Judah and also to Dan, would have on the coast, would have the very powerful Philistines. And they had 5 powerful cities there that produced great warriors and great fear among Israel. This even predates any kind of skirmish before them. So we're going back to Abraham, which is about 2,000 years old, and maybe a smidge before that. The Biblical Archaeology Society website reported digging at the site found game boards featuring the Canaanite game known as 30 Houses. Think of Monopoly and what you put on your board. And another included a game called Senet, which was played in ancient Egypt, where it was used in cultic context, so that was not used for good purposes. Here are some of the game boards and or the pieces. And now we will show you a chunk of the game board. And in perspective, you can see the hands holding it, and that is only a piece of it. But archaeologists picked right off exactly what it was when they found it. The game Senet that I just mentioned to you that was found in Egypt, and they saw remnants of it here, it would look like this when put back together. Not all pieces are there, but that is how big it would be, and the pieces would go on top of like a table. Interesting, they had game tables. Let's read on and we'll finish our story. One of the game boards was double-sided. The report claims that the discovery proves they were made from readily available materials that were crafted locally and played throughout all levels of society. Bible Gath, once a Philistine stronghold, was discovered between the Judean foothills and southern coastal plain. The events in the Bible of David and Goliath would not happen for several centuries yet. Once again, a map of Gath, and there's the valley where David would meet Goliath, but that's way later. But that's, whenever we talk about Gath and Goliath, that's what comes to mind, and that gives us perspective and time. The other white arrow over to Jerusalem gives us an idea about how far away it was. In the book of Genesis, in the Bible, we read about the great flood and Noah and the ark. Noah had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. When the families departed the ark, following more than a year in the boat, we read that Ham had several sons, with one of them being named Canaan. It is this Canaan's descendants would eventually settle in the Middle Eastern area of the world, which would include modern-day Israel and more. This occurred after the Tower of Babel and the confusion of the languages, and 3 separate groups of people migrated to the areas that God wanted them to do initially when they came off of the ark, but they just didn't do that. And so if I said Canaan's name in this reference, the land of Canaan, see, that predates what we would say the promised land or Israel, but it'd be the land of Canaan, and that's where he settled. And these were tribal people to start with. The Canaanites are mentioned when Abraham showed up, and thereafter in the earlier books of the Old Testament. So when God leads Abraham into the promised land, it was the land of Canaan, and they have been there, of course, because they went there after the Tower of Babel, and then Abraham's born around 2000 before Christ in that realm. The name of the land area called Canaan was being used when Moses and Joshua were bringing the Israelites out of Egypt. Once Joshua purged the land of unbelievers, the vast area became Israel, or the promised land, God's people. So, how about a game of Monopoly this Friday night? So thank you for watching. There's our Gathliography, also known as a bibliography, and some of the folks that contribute to this greatly. And if we could be any blessing to your help, if you have any ideas of treasure hunts to take, feel free to email me. May God bless you, and thank you for tuning in today.